Your body flinched before your brain knew there was anything to flinch at. The feeling of fear came after. This is brain roots.
Something moves fast at the edge of your vision. Before you have thought anything, before you have decided anything, your body has already reacted. You flinched. You ducked. Your heart is already beating faster, and only now, a fraction of a second later, does your conscious mind catch up and realize what happened. You did not decide to flinch. You flinched before you could decide. This is not a glitch. This is one of the most important survival systems your brain has ever developed. And understanding how it works reveals something surprising about the relationship between your body and your conscious mind. Let's start with the architecture. Deep inside your brain sits a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It is part of what neuroscientists call the limbic system, the older, faster, more primitive part of your brain that handles emotion, threat detection, and survival responses. The amygdala does not think, it reacts. When sensory information comes in, something you see, hear, or feel, it travels along two separate pathways to the amygdala. The neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux, who spent decades studying fear, described these as the low road and the high road. The high road goes the long way. Sensory information travels up to the cortex, the thinking part of your brain, where it is processed in detail, analyzed, and then sent down to the amygdala with a full assessment. This pathway is accurate. It takes time. The low road goes directly. Sensory information bypasses the cortex entirely and shoots straight to the amygdala along a much faster route. This pathway is crude. It cannot process detail. It cannot distinguish well between a stick and a snake. But it is fast, dangerously, usefully fast. The flinch happens on the low road, before the high road has finished processing, before your cortex has had a chance to examine what it actually saw. The amygdala has already received a rough signal that says something fast, something unexpected, potentially dangerous. And it fires. The amygdala activates the body's threat response. Heart rate up, muscles tensed, attention sharpened in milliseconds. The flinch, the duck, the sharp intake of breath. These are the outputs of a system that acted before you knew there was anything to act on. Then the high road catches up. Your cortex finishes processing. It turns out it was just a plastic bag blown by the wind. Your heart rate begins to slow. You feel slightly foolish, but you are fine. This system produces false alarms constantly, and that is by design. In evolutionary terms, the cost of a false alarm is embarrassment. The cost of a missed alarm, failing to react to something that was actually dangerous, could be death. The amygdala is calibrated to err massively on the side of false alarms. Better to flinch at 1,000 plastic bags than to fail to flinch at one snake. This asymmetry explains a lot about human behavior beyond the flinch reflex. It is the same logic behind why bad news feels more urgent than good news. The brain prioritizes threats over opportunities. It is the same logic behind why a single critical comment can outweigh 10 compliments. Negative social signals triggered the threat system in ways that positive ones do not. Psychologists call this negativity bias, and it runs on the same fundamental architecture as the flinch. The amygdala also learns. If you have been in a car accident, the sound of screeching brakes activates it faster and more strongly than it would in someone who has not. If you grew up in an environment where threat was unpredictable, your amygdala may be calibrated to fire more readily than someone raised in a stable environment. The threat detection system is not fixed. It is shaped by experience. What LeDoux's research ultimately showed is that the conscious experience of fear, the feeling of being afraid, is not what causes the flinch. The flinch happens first. The feeling comes after. Your body acts, and then your mind tells you a story about what just happened. You are not afraid, and then you flinch. You flinch, and then you become aware that you were afraid. The body moves first. The mind follows. And for most of human history, that order kept you alive.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Brain Roots. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.